Welcome to NeverTheLess podcast with Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hi, welcome to NeverTheLess, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. It's a pleasure to be able to bring this podcast to you this month. I apologize that last month we were not able to follow through. It was a very busy month and I was traveling a lot, so I couldn't get myself to get the recording done. But we're here and the Lord has been kind to us. We're in the month of December. How have you fared from January through to the end of this year? God is kind and He's faithful. So if you're listening to or watching this podcast wherever you are, I want you to understand that God has been kind to you. Regardless of what you might have wanted to see in your life that you didn't see yet, do not be dismayed and do not despair, because it is a person who has life that has the opportunity to try again. So welcome again. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi, and this month we will be looking at truth. Yes, the series is called Truth, and we'll be examining what truth is. We'll be examining the duplicity of truth. We'll be looking at manufacturing truth and where truth comes from. These and many more you'll listen to and you'll learn from in the next 4 weeks as we explore the veracity of truth, as we explore the potency of truth, and as we explore what truth really is. Is truth absolute? Is truth the same in Nigeria and in America? Or does truth change depending on location or the people that are involved? Is truth determined by circumstance or determined by personal feelings or definitions? All of these things are the things we're going to look at, through this next 4 weeks on the subject matter of truth. This particular episode, the focus is on, of course, I like definitions. What is truth? So what is truth to you? What is truth to me? And what should truth really be? That's where we're looking at, what we're looking at in this episode. Now, dictionary defines truth as that which conforms with fact and reality. It says that truth is that which conforms with fact and reality. It says that truth is genuineness. It is veracity or actuality. Truth is genuineness, veracity, or actuality. Truth is reality. It is how things actually are. This is dictionary definition of truth. And if you look at it on the surface, it looks like that's what truth is. And it shouldn't change, yes? Only that what reality is for me under the same circumstances and what reality is for you under the same circumstances may differ. You talk about perspective, and we say it depends on the filter with which you see things. So we have found that as absolute as truth is in its definition, somehow truth is taking on many variations and colors depending on who is peddling it and why they are peddling it. So we want to look at truth. What really is truth? And as far as I'm concerned, you cannot begin to explore truth without looking at God. So if dictionary says that truth is that which conforms to fact, reality, and that it is genuineness, it is veracity, and it is actuality, if it says that truth is reality, how things actually are, as believers and sons of God, what is truth? Truth for me is that which is consistent with the mind, the will, the character, the glory, and the being of God. I'll take that once again. Truth is that which is consistent with the mind, the will, the character, the glory, and the being of God. What does this mean? It means that truth is a person. Truth is God. And unless it can align with the mind of God, unless it is consistent with the will of God, unless it is consistent with the character, the glory, and the being of God, it cannot be said to be truth. Now, if you go with me, and I'm sorry if you feel like I'm preachy this early, but I'm not preachy, you'll understand where I'm headed as we go on. If you go to Hebrews 13, verse number 8, it says that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. That means that Jesus is truth because he's consistently constant. He does not change. So when you think about truth, think about, yes, the things that, how things look or how things are in actuality before you. Think about the facts that are around you. Think about, the veracity and the genuineness of what is before you. But the fact is that the only way that becomes consistent, because it is not truth unless it is consistent and it is constant, is when you put it through the filter of the will, the mind, the character, the glory, and the being of God. It's only God that doesn't change. I have changed and I'm changing. From time to time, if you saw photos of me 10 years ago, this is not how I looked this way, but this is not exactly how I pretended. If you even saw photos of me maybe 2 years ago, I'm different. I'm the same person, but I look different. So it's possible that for the untrained eye, depending on how I present or how I'm dressed, someone may argue that a photo of me isn't me. If you saw me 26 years ago when I got married, I didn't look the way I look like right now at all. So truth continues to evolve when it comes to men. And that has posed a major problem for mankind because the more we evolve, truth to evolve with us. And because we expect truth to evolve with us, truth has now taken on so many discolorations and, like I said, variations that are not what truth is. We know that truth in its definition talks about facts and it talks about reality. So the question is, what are facts? Facts are thoughts that are known, or a thing that is known to be true. That's how dictionary defines facts. It says a fact is a thing that is known to be true. And so it is possible that we sometimes interchangeably use the expression facts for truth. But the thing is, facts is susceptible to distortion. So if it's a thing that is known to be true, what is the background with which we determine that something is known to be true? What are the different templates or parameters that determines that something is true? We live in societies right now where things that were unheard of, a grown man wakes up and decides that he identifies as a child. You find a 45-year-old, 50-year-old man dressed in little girl clothes, and they say they identify as children. And so you are looking at the facts. The facts is that he's a grown man with a beard, with a bulge. Doesn't even have a six-pack, and even if he has a six-pack, it doesn't make him a little girl. But he has taken on the persona of a 10-year-old girl. He speaks with a squeaky voice. He dresses like one. He takes on the mannerisms of a little girl, and he determines that he's a child. How do we take the facts and divorce them from the truth? The point I'm making is that facts are susceptible to distortion, depending again on who is peddling them. Then we come to the fact that some people say truth is, the definition says that truth is the same as reality. So it means that if I wake up and I decide today that I have become a lizard, and in my mind, that's my reality, even if I have something wrong with my mind, that my reality determines my truth. And again, that makes truth susceptible to distortion. Because just because it's in front of me and it looks like what I have perceived it to be, does not mean that my reality is the truth. So there are realities that are not truths, and there are facts that do not, by any stretch of imagination, reflect truth. So when we're thinking about truth, we're thinking about things that are absolute, things that look like God. As I was, reviewing and looking for what was the best definition to use for truth, I chanced across something written by someone called Stephen Lawson, and he said that truth is the self-disclosure of God. He said truth is the self-disclosure of God himself. So truth is truth because God declared it so and made it so. What this particular definition does for me and should do for you is that it transitions us away from anything that makes truth subjective to other things. And it says, oh, truth is only truth because God has made it truth and has declared it as truth. What that means, therefore, is that you cannot divorce truth from what God says. And so for you to find out truth and know truth for what truth is, you have to know who God is. And you have to find out who God is. I know I've been talking for a while, but I'm just looking at the definition of truth as our series is about truth. And we're looking at, in this episode, the question, what is truth? So far, I've told us this dictionary definition of truth, and I have moved away from there to say that when we take the words facts and reality, that they tend to, and we present them as truth, unless our truth is anchored on the right foundation, it is susceptible to distortion. I'm going to take a break now. When I come back, we will take another look at what truth truly looks like when we look at it from the lens of the being of God. Remember that I said that my favorite definition of truth is that truth is that which is consistent with the mind, the will, the character, the glory, and the being of God. Please don't go away. This is the Nevertheless show, and I'll be back in a minute.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, NeverTheLess. NeverTheLess is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of NeverTheLess and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. Nevertheless.
Welcome back. It is still the Nevertheless show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. My name still is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Before we went on the break, I told us that Stephen Lawson says that truth is the self-disclosure of God himself. And he surmised that, or he submitted that truth is truth because God has declared it so and God has made it so. Therefore, all truth must be defined in terms of God, whose very nature is truth. We therefore cannot define truth without defining God. So if you want to know what truth is, you need to know who God is. And so I want us to take a look at where truth comes from and what truth looks like before we bring this particular episode to a close. So where does truth come from? If truth is that which is consistent with the mind, the will, the character, the glory, and the being of God, if truth is truth because God declared it so and made it so, then it means that truth comes from God. Truth is who God is. So all truth, according to Stephen Lawson, must be defined in terms of God, whose very nature is truth. Consequently, God is truth. Therefore, truth comes from God. God is truth, therefore truth comes from God. Now, if God is truth and truth comes from God, what does truth look like then? Number one, truth is divine. In Romans chapter 3, verse 4, it says, let God be found true, though every man be found a liar. That scripture simply makes us understand that men may lie because it's in their nature to be able to lie. God will not lie because it is not in God's nature to lie. So though all men be liars, God will always be found as true. Therefore, truth is divine. Truth transcends flesh and blood. Truth transcends the word as we know it. This explains why the concept of truth is difficult for those who are outside the purview and a relationship with God to understand. Many people do not understand that truth is divine, or they do not believe that truth is divine, or they are not connected to the divine. And because they are not connected to the divine, they cannot make sense of truth. So for them, the goalpost to truth shifts as their situations and their circumstances shift. But truth is divine. Truth is divine. And this explains why the concept of truth must be whole for man to be able to embrace truth and embrace truth well. So if God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, it means that what I counted as truth or what I embraced as truth 10 years ago, as long as it flows from the core of the being, the mind, the will, the character, the glory of God, should be the truth today, even though 10 years have passed. So truth is divine. You cannot define truth outside of God. It will take trying to define truth or embrace truth outside of the person who is truth. We take us in directions that we really do not want to go, nor do we need to go. Number two, truth is absolute. What that means is that truth is a whole and cannot be fragmented. Without God, there can be no absolutes because God is the only one who is absolute. So if you want to drill and deep into truth, you must know that truth is absolute just because God is absolute. Now, let me explain this. In the court of law, we talk about justice, but justice are based on the facts that can be proven in court. 80% of the time, that's not the truth. It's just the facts. So if someone can prove, by the facts that they have been able to gather, that something is a certain way, the court, within the parameters of the law, is compelled to rule in their favor. But just because someone was declared not guilty in court does not mean that that verdict is the truth. It just means that they had nothing else to prove that that person is guilty or otherwise. So truth is absolute because without God, there can be no absolutes. And without absolutes, we cannot have objective and universal truth. God is the only absolute that we have. So if you choose to say that, truth isn't absolute, it means that truth is not related to God through your filters. God is the only absolute, and without him, there can be no absolutes. And the thing is, truth cannot be truth. It cannot be universal, and it cannot be objective unless it is absolute. What I'm saying is that truth flows from God. I'll say it in many ways, even as I continue. But unless God is in the mix, and I mean the God of heaven, truth cannot be truth because it will fail some of these tests. So if you want to test truth, you have to take it through the filter of divinity. If you want to test truth, you have to take truth through the filter of absoluteness. So that truth will continue to vary. If it's not absolute, it will continue to vary from one part of the world to another part of the world, from one family to another family. But God is absolute truth. Therefore, truth has to be absolute. If it cannot apply in Nigeria and apply in America, then the odds are it's not truth, because truth has no variations and has no variance. Number three, or maybe even before I go to number three, let me buttress this a bit more, that everything that is contrary to truth is a lie. Everything that is contrary to truth is a lie. So what that means, therefore, is under the fact that truth is absolute, is the reality that truth is exclusive. As I began to prepare for this, I was on a plane, actually. I was flying somewhere. And I was just thinking, because I tend to muse a lot when I'm on a flight, especially if it's a long one. And I started to muse about truth. And I realized that anything that is not truth is a lie, regardless of who says it is true and who's painted it as truth. So truth is exclusive. It is not inclusive. So this doctrine that we go around, this doctrine of inclusion and inclusivity, is not the truth. Truth is very exclusive. It belongs in the realm of divinity. And when man tries to walk in truth, that man must have the backing of divinity to be able to exercise themselves in absolute truth. Truth is discriminating because it excludes lies. People think that, truth opens the door for everyone to come. If truth opens the door for everyone to come, nobody will be left out. But truth doesn't do that. There is an exclusivity to truth, that whether we want to accept or not, or whether we want to, accept and take responsibility for or not, truth is exclusive, because anything that is not the truth is a lie. Therefore, all truth is universally truth. All truth is universally truth. Nothing can be true and untrue at the same time. So when you think about truth, nothing can be both true and untrue at the same time. So if we're in a room and for me it is true and for the next person it is an untruth, something is wrong. Either one of us is wrong, or both our definitions of what truth looks like is wrong. So truth is absolute, and it makes sense that you know that truth is absolute, because if you know that truth is absolute, it helps you take the right posture when you handle truth. The third point is that truth is singular. Truth is singular. It is one single entity. I have 4 people thereabout in the studio with me as we record this. All 4 of them cannot have a different shade of black. Black is black is black. Just because one person is worn their black t-shirt to the extent that is faded, or one person is soiled their black with maybe poured bleach on their black, and portions of their black t-shirts are now white, does not mean that that is now what black looks like. There is an absolute single definition of black, and if we want to walk with truth, black will always be black, will always be black. So truth is one single entity. It does not exist in pieces of unrelated or disconnected ideas or data. Truth does not exist in pieces of unrelated or disconnected ideas or data. It is not fragmented, or is not a fragmented collation of ideologies. Truth is one idea that runs seamless from one end to the other. What this means is that truth is internally consistent. Internally consistent. When I hit this point, I thought about myself, and I thought about my lying days. I realized, when I started to make the conscious effort to move away from telling lies, I realized that, one of the most disgraceful things for someone who thrives in lie telling is to be found in their lie. So if you tell lies and you present lies as truth, one of the things you want to ensure you do, no matter what, is to ensure that whatever lie you told, you consistently continue to tell it. And what that used to do to me was, I had legitimately had insomnia because I couldn't sleep, because I had to stay awake to remember the lie I told in the previous day, so that if I had to continue in that trajectory the next day, I'll remember. But truth is not like that. When you tell the truth, you don't need to be reminded. You don't need to write it down. You don't need someone to cue you, because truth just flows internally from the inside out. That's why I said that truth is internally consistent. Nobody needs to think about what truth is. Truth is just truth. And this is because truth never contradicts itself. It is always in perfect agreement with itself. Truth holds things together, or holds together. One face of truth is related to every other face of truth. Truth is consistent with itself. And because truth is consistent with itself, no matter what happens, truth continues to be truth wherever you go, regardless of who tells it or who does not tell it. I'll go on another short break, and when I come back, I'll finish for you what truth is. This is the NeverTheLess show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Please don't go away. I'll be right back.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, NeverTheLess. NeverTheLess is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of NeverTheLess and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. NeverTheLess.
Welcome back. It's still the NeverTheLess show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi, and this month we're looking at truth, the subject matter of truth. And in this particular episode, we're looking at what truth is. Before the break, we said that truth is divine, truth is absolute, and truth is singular. Truth is not fragmented. And what is truth in Nigeria ought to be truth in Ghana and should be truth in Australia. The moment it has variance, it is not truth, because truth does not negate itself and does not stand against itself. As we go on, my fourth point is that truth is objective. What that means is that truth is not subject to personal feelings or circumstances. Truth is not open to private intuitions on how a person feels. Truth is precise and is clear as either black or white. Before we went on the break, I was talking about the people in the room with me. They cannot each have a different definition of the color black. The color black is the color black no matter what. So truth is objective. It is not subject to personal feelings or circumstances. It is not open to private intuitions or feelings. Truth is precise. Truth is truth is truth. What this means is that there is no vagueness or abstractness when it comes to truth. Truth is not abstract and truth is not vague. So you can't say, oh, truth is like something. You have to be able at every point in time, regarding every subject, say what truth is. If you have to define marriage, there is an absolute for what marriage is. If you want to define financial prosperity, there is an absolute for what financial prosperity is. If you want to define health, there is an absolute for what health is. If you wanted to define a man, there is an absolute for who a man is. If you want to define a woman, there is an absolute for who a woman is. Once it steps away from absoluteness, it becomes a subjective. But truth is not subjective. Consequently, Truth is impartial. Truth is unbiased. Truth is unprejudiced and non-partisan. Truth is not politics. It is non-partisan. So it is what it is, whether in the morning truth is truth, at night truth is truth. Truth is truth where people have money, and truth is truth where people are poor. There is no situation that excuses someone from truth. And because of that, truth speaks the same to all people in all places at all times. Truth is the same. That's why I said that truth is objective. Truth is not subjective. Just because someone had a bad turn in their luck does not change what truth is for them. It is the reason why if someone, for instance, let's say that someone is an orphan and had to struggle all their lives and decided to go into armed robbery. When they are caught, they will not be excused because, they are orphans and they've had a hard life. Because stealing is wrong everywhere and it's wrong everywhere. So if someone stole, regardless of the fact that they've had a hard life, they will be charged to court and they would go through the punishment of stealing. And that's because truth is the same, no matter who is faced with it or no matter who is peddling it. The fifth point is that truth is immutable. Truth is immutable. It doesn't change with time. It cannot be redefined, no matter how hard we try. So when you think about the color red, it doesn't matter if I'm colorblind and I see purple as red. It does not change the fact that red is red. Truth is immutable. You cannot move truth. It doesn't change with time. It cannot be redefined, no matter how hard we try. And so if you are out there and you're doing your best to retry or to redefine truth, you need to know that truth is truth is truth. I hope this makes sense. So truth is immutable and it would not move. In Psalm 119 verse 89, God's word is referred to as truth. And it says, forever my word is settled in heaven. It is settled. God's word does not change. Truth does not lose its potency. Truth is permanent, it is fixed, and it is established. It is the reason why even in the most immoral societies, when someone falls upon immorality, they are still judged by the high standard of morality. That's because truth is truth. They are immoral in every sense of the word. But when they find someone who thrives in immorality, even the immoral person will say that person is immoral. The simple reason is because truth is unchanging, truth is timeless, and truth is enduring. Truth does not tire, it does not wane, and it does not cease to be truth. No matter what I do, truth is truth. As sure as today, whatever day today is for you, that you are listening to this show or you're watching this show is, if you're watching it on a Monday, the truth is it's a Monday and nothing is going to change that. And within every day, we have 24 hours. And it doesn't matter what part of the earth you live in. Your Monday may begin later than mine, or mine may begin earlier than yours. It does not change the fact that within a day, you have 24 hours, and I have 24 hours. My final point is that truth is authoritative. Truth is authoritative. And the reason why truth is authoritative is because it represents, and indeed it is, the supreme authority of God himself. Truth represents and is the supreme authority of God himself. It is not an MCQ question. It's not a multi-choice question. Truth is truth. So you don't have a question with 5 options. Even if you had 5 options, only one of them is truth. You can't take 2 answers for the same questions, even when the question gives you, or the examiner gives you the option of more than one answer. That's why the Bible says in John 8, verse 32, that truth leads to freedom. Truth leads to freedom. And that's why in John 17:17, the Bible says that we are sanctified by truth. It means that truth is freeing, truth cleanses, and truth keeps one pure. As we begin to come to the end of this week's show, I want you to take time to sit down, especially in a world in which we live in which every face of truth has many, many, many levels. For us to know that regardless of the levels that truth has around us, truth is truth is truth. No matter who says it contrary, truth is what it is. Truth does not tire, truth does not wane, and truth does not cease to be truth. Truth will not contradict itself, and truth will not be fragmented. If it is not seamless and whole, it is not truth. Truth is not your facts, because your facts can be determined by your circumstances and your feelings. Truth is not your reality, because your reality can be colored by how you feel in the moment. Truth is truth is truth is truth. And regardless of who says truth is not truth, truth is truth. So if you are thinking about, I want to define truth, especially if you're raising children, and you want them to understand that truth is what provides man with stability, please remember to tell them that truth is the thing that is consistent with the will of God, the character of God, the glory of God, the being of God. If it is not in God, if it cannot be traced to the consistency that God is, the chances are very high that it is not truth. When we come back next week, I'll be looking at the duplicity of truth. Please remember to share, and please remember to follow me across the social media platforms. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even Threads. And the handle is the same. It is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Thank you for joining the show today. I'll see you next week. Remember, if you discover your superpower, you will live a powerful life. Truth is absolute. It does not change. God bless you. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.